Okay, so the question keeps coming up about diet, and I'm gonna have to work on my hair again. Um, Most humans like the look of fresh produce in the supermarket, and most humans like the idea of good nutrition. A lot of humans have heard the story that somehow humans have evolved so that they can't make vitamin C within the body, unlike most other animals. Most humans believe that, um, well, mostly what different commentators have told them over the years about nutrition. My favorite commentator on this is Dr. Oz, who's a jackass. Um, he's constantly promoting this, that, and the next thing every time he's on television. I don't even know if he's on television anymore, but he was on for years, and a complete horse's ass, just a pitch man for whoever was paying for their product placement. So, how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go with food? Well, there's so many places I can go on food. So many places. Let's start with quantum physics. So, Newtonian physics, which is basically the physics of billiard balls on the pool table, was basically the way that science looked at the way matter worked. And, Isaac Newton was in around 1700, and that's Newtonian physics. But everyone, as far as I know, in high school got a little bit of teaching on quantum physics. Was it possible to go through high school without physics at all? Not in my high school. Everyone had to take that as a science. But maybe there's some schools that didn't teach physics at all. Homeschool, maybe? Somebody who quit high school early? But in my high school, everyone took some little bit of quantum physics, and probably none of us understood it. But we're really no worse off than the people who were the first discoverers of quantum physics. One of those early scientists said, if you think you understand quantum physics, you don't understand quantum physics. Exact quote. But let's just go through basic chemistry. Basic chemistry, if you've got molecules built by atoms, putting atoms together. And if you take apart atoms, then you have protons, electrons, and neutrons. And if you take those things apart, you keep getting subatomic particles in a whole pile of empty space, way more empty space than subatomic particles. In essence, matter is made up of nothing but empty space. So I have to keep jumping a little bit for you rather than getting bogged down in, because I want to remind you, somebody's going to say, well, your body's made up of matter, which is still got subatomic particles somewhere in there. It's pretty much empty space. And if there is anything solid in there, what's there. Well, you keep breaking it into smaller and smaller pieces, and it's still mostly empty space. What does it really mean? Well, it means it's empty space. To me, it means it's empty space, which means what we experience as physicality is something someone says created by your brain. No, because your brain is also made up of empty space. I know, but it's solid. It's a mystery. It's a great mystery. I have to move along. I'm just going to jump to the answer. It's all consciousness. All these things are consciousness. We register these things with our consciousness. And some people say, well, it's the hard problem of how the mind comes about from physical matter. There ain't no such thing as physical matter. I mean, you can get bogged down in trying to figure out quantum physics, but just like I said, you don't understand it because the truth is there's nothing there. So when it comes to nutrition, sure, you can have tests to go and check your levels of iron or whatever hormones or whatever, insulin levels or whatever. Yes, it appears to us that people eventually drop dead and leave a dead body, and maybe the doctor will say the cause was heart disease or cancer or dementia or Parkinson's disease or old age. But it's all in consciousness. And in our world, we have a very strong, hard to put it into words, but the closest thing might be belief in physical matter. Does that make it physical matter? Well, for day-to-day use, yes, it's definitely the case. But for my mind, it's all in consciousness. So, day to day, I act like it's physical matter. But when I sit down and I meditate on it, I just keep getting it's empty space. And so it's just stuff that's in consciousness. It's stuff that's in mind. Mind is all there is. Mind, which is consciousness. So for me, if you've heard some of my other lectures, I don't tell my body what to eat. Because a great consciousness teaching is let the body choose what it wants. It's got consciousness and it has intelligence. And yes, I suffer from what I call demonic attack, but they're coming for me in consciousness, from consciousness. Why is it that bits of things in consciousness attack other things in consciousness? I could probably come up with a million reasons. I don't have one answer. I only know that it does happen. If you look at a spiritual teacher, Eckhart Tolle, who I talk about sometimes, he talks about the pain body. In one of these videos I made tonight, another one, I talked about the pain body. And he said sometimes it comes to possess human forms. Well, what the hell is a pain body? It's not like another physical body comes and just walks into you and merges with you. And he calls it a pain body. And it comes to possess your physical form. So it's something in consciousness, the pain body. It's consciousness. It's consciousness. We have to throw away, well, it's difficult to totally throw away physical matter. It's very difficult to throw it away because it's useful. You know, if you're going to have a manufacturing plant and you're going to manufacture cars or aircraft or hats or makeup, we call that physical manufacturing. But this stuff that we call physical is all going on inside of consciousness. So is it really, well, if you think you understand quantum physics, you don't understand quantum physics. And don't get me to try and explain how they do quantum computing. It's all in consciousness. And Arthur C. Clarke, the science fiction author, said, sufficiently advanced technology and magic are indistinguishable. Someone wants me to say, nevertheless, something about the diet. Well, as I said, for me, I don't choose what the body's going to eat. In other words, I go as the silent witness within and I watch, and I don't use mind to tell the body what to do. The body does what it does, and I watch it. I'm a long-time meditator. So if you've never meditated before, you're going to think I'm just talking bullshit and bafflegab, and that's what it sounds like. But I have been doing this for a very, very long time. I've studied my own mind, and I've read a lot of masters who have written about mind from all kinds of different backgrounds. I keep coming back to the lecture about the inner conflict by spiritual teacher Matt Kahn. And if you want to understand how your body can choose what it wants to eat, you should listen to the Matt Kahn lecture about inner conflict. Maybe it won't make any sense to you, but it made sense to me. So thank you for the advice on diet. It's not the first time I've had advice on diet, and truly I don't know why my body chooses what it chooses to eat. About a week ago it decided to stop eating meat. In the past, when I used to do muscle testing to determine what foods the body will eat, for a long time the body stopped eating meat. But my roommates, family members, when I moved back with them, they eat meat and the body was eating meat. But as I said, about a week ago, the body stopped eating meat. Didn't want it. What's the background of it all? Well, I always say it's moving towards higher consciousness. I don't know if the body's doing triage. I think it used to look and say, well, there's this meat here that's going to get thrown out if we don't eat it, because they usually cook more than, maybe it wouldn't have, but I've seen enough meat be thrown away because it's gone bad, because it didn't get eaten, so possibly that's why it ate it. But nevertheless, now it's not wanting meat. Is that higher consciousness? I don't know. I really don't know the rationale of higher consciousness. That's all I'm going to tell you. And will it go back to meat? I don't know. It has in the past, depending on the circumstances. But it's not me choosing it. As I said in the past, I used to muscle test to see what food to buy at the grocery store. If you don't know muscle testing, then you're really far behind. You have to go look on YouTube about muscle testing, and then you need to look up Dr. David R. Hawkins and his work with muscle testing and consciousness research, if you're obliged to go and do your own research.